Discipline is not a feeling. It's not something you wake up with on a good day or lose on a bad one. Discipline is a decision you make long before the moment gets uncomfortable. It's a promise you make to yourself when no one is watching. And it's the voice that speaks up when your emotions try to take control. Feelings are unreliable. They change with the weather, with the mood, with the applause, or the silence. Discipline doesn't ask how you feel. It asks who you decided to become. There will be mornings when your body is tired, when your mind is heavy, when every excuse sounds reasonable. That's not a flaw. That's being human. But greatness has never been built on comfort or convenience. Greatness is built when you do what needs to be done, even when every part of you wants to quit. Especially then, discipline is choosing action over emotion, commitment over comfort, purpose over pleasure. Sometimes discipline looks like doing the very thing you hate, again and again, with the same intensity as if you loved it. That's the real test. Anyone can show up when it feels good. Anyone can work when they're praised, supported, encouraged. But champions are made when no one is clapping, when the work is boring, repetitive, and hard. When you train yourself to show up in those moments, something changes inside you. You stop negotiating with weakness. You stop waiting for permission. You become reliable to yourself. Doing what you hate as if you love it is not pretending. It's training. It's conditioning your character. It's teaching your mind and body that discomfort is not a stop sign. It's a signal that growth is happening. Every rep you don't feel like doing, every hour you don't feel like working, every decision to stay focused when distraction is calling, that's where your strength is forged. That's where separation happens. Motivation is loud, exciting, and temporary. It shows up like a spark, and then it disappears just as fast. Discipline is quiet. It doesn't need music or speeches or perfect conditions. It stays when motivation leaves. And motivation will leave. It always does. If your progress depends on motivation, your progress will always be inconsistent. But if it depends on discipline, you become unstoppable. Because discipline doesn't wait. It moves. No one is coming to save you. That's not a threat. It's a gift. It means your life is in your hands. One chance, one life, one responsibility. You don't get a rehearsal. You don't get a second version of this day. What you do with it matters. Every excuse you accept today becomes a habit tomorrow. Every standard you lower today becomes your ceiling later. And every time you rise, when it would be easier to fold, you raise the bar for who you are becoming. Stop waiting for perfect conditions. They don't exist. There will always be something missing. More time, more money, more confidence, more support. If you wait for everything to line up, you'll spend your life standing still. Progress is made by people who move while things are messy, unclear, and uncomfortable. You don't need to see the whole staircase. You just need to take the next step. The world doesn't reward potential. It rewards execution. It rewards consistency. It rewards those who show up again and again. Long after the excitement fades, life will test you. It will apply pressure. And pressure doesn't create character. It reveals it. When things get hard, you find out who you really are. You find out whether you rely on excuses or standards, whether you retreat or rise. You are the author of your future. No one else is holding the pen. Every decision you make is a sentence. Every habit is a paragraph. And over time, those pages become your story. If you don't like where the story is going, you don't need permission to change it. You need discipline. You need responsibility. You need the courage to stop blaming circumstances and start owning outcomes. This isn't about being perfect. You will fall. You will have days where you miss the mark. The difference is what you do next. Do you stay down or do you get back up? Discipline is not never failing. Discipline is refusing to quit. It's getting up one more time than you fall. It's choosing long-term fulfillment over short-term relief. At the end of the day, greatness is not reserved for the lucky or the gifted. It's reserved for the disciplined, for those who decided that their future mattered more than their feelings, for those who stopped waiting and started working, for those who understood that no one is coming and said, "Good, I've got this." Make the decision, show up, do the work again tomorrow and the day after that. Because discipline isn't just the foundation of greatness, it is greatness practiced daily. Success has a price, and that price is paid daily. Not once, not when it's convenient, daily. And the currency is pain. You don't get to avoid it. The only choice you have is which pain you're willing to live with. The pain of discipline or the pain of regret. One hurts now and makes you stronger. The other feels easy now and haunts you later. And make no mistake, regret is heavier. It lingers. It whispers at night. It asks you why you didn't try harder when you had the chance. Discipline hurts. Waking up when your body wants to stay in bed hurts. Saying no to comfort hurts. Staying consistent when results are slow hurts. But that pain has a purpose. It sharpens you. It refines you. Regret, on the other hand, has no purpose. It only reminds you of what could have been if you had shown up when it mattered. If you're going to hurt anyway, choose the pain that pays you back. Success demands sacrifice, and it demands it now, not later. You don't get to postpone the cost and still expect the reward. Every level requires you to give something up. Time, comfort, old habits, old versions of yourself. You can't keep everything and still move forward. Something has to go. And most people don't fail because they aren't capable. They fail because they aren't willing to let go of who they are to become who they could be. There are moments when your friends are resting, celebrating, wasting time, and you're alone, working, sweating, doubting yourself. That's the price. There are days when no one understands why you're pushing so hard. That's the price. There are seasons when the reward is invisible, when all you have is faith and consistency. That's the price. Success doesn't announce itself while you're paying for it. It shows up later, when the bill has already been settled. And when it hurts, don't run from it. Pain is not your enemy. Pain is a signal. It's telling you that you're stretching beyond who you were yesterday. Muscles grow by tearing. Character grows the same way. If everything you're doing feels easy, comfortable, familiar, you're not growing. You're maintaining. Growth has friction. Growth has resistance. Growth has moments where you question yourself. That's how you know it's real. Do the work even when you don't want to, especially when you don't want to. Real champions don't wait for inspiration. Inspiration is unreliable. It shows up late and leaves early. Champions move before they feel ready. They move while tired. They move while unsure. They move because they've trained themselves to act, not to negotiate. There will be mornings when your alarm goes off and your mind immediately offers a deal. Just 5 more minutes. 5 minutes turns into excuses. Excuses turn into habits. Habits turn into a life you didn't plan. Champions shut that voice down immediately. They don't debate it. They don't argue with it. They get up because they understand something simple. Every small decision trains you. You're either training discipline or training weakness. That moment when you feel resistance, when everything inside you says stop, that's where victory begins. Not at the finish line, not when people are cheering. Victory begins in that quiet moment when no one would blame you for quitting, but you choose not to. That decision compounds. One day it doesn't look like much. One workout, one early morning, one focused hour, but stack those days together and you build something unbreakable. This isn't about being fearless. Fear shows up for everyone. This is about being committed. Commitment means you don't give your feelings a vote. You already decided. And once you decide, you execute. Over and over again. That's how ordinary people build extraordinary lives. Pain will come either way. Life guarantees that. The question is whether that pain will shape you or shame you, whether it will build your future or remind you of the one you avoided. If you're hurting because you're working, learning, growing, sacrificing, keep going. That pain has an expiration date. It ends in strength, confidence, and results. One day you'll look back at the mornings you didn't sleep in, the moments you pushed through, the times you chose discipline over comfort, and you won't remember the pain the way you felt it. You'll remember it the way it changed you, and you'll realize it was never punishment. It was preparation. Pressure is not a mistake in your life. It's not bad luck. It's not proof that you're doing something wrong. Pressure is the process. It's the weight that reveals what you're made of. And make no mistake, pressure doesn't care about your excuses. It doesn't care about your intentions. Pressure will either break you down or build you up. It will either expose cracks or create a diamond. The difference is not the pressure itself. The difference is you. Everyone wants greatness, but not everyone wants the pressure that comes with it. Pressure demands focus. It demands maturity. It demands that you stop blaming and start becoming. When life tightens around you, when expectations rise, when challenges stack up, that's not life attacking you. That's life asking you a question. And the only answer that matters is how you respond. You don't get to choose whether pressure shows up. You only get to choose whether you run from it or rise inside it. Running makes you smaller. Avoidance weakens you. But when you stand still and face it, when you say, "This is part of my path," something powerful happens. You stop seeing difficulty as punishment and start seeing it as preparation. You stop asking, "Why me?" and start saying, "Try me." Hardship is not a detour. It is the road. Every meaningful journey passes through resistance, doubt, and discomfort. Anyone who tells you otherwise is selling you comfort, not truth. The strongest people you admire didn't avoid struggle. They accepted it early. They understood that adversity sharpens awareness, builds endurance, and strips away weakness. They didn't become strong because life was easy. They became strong because life wasn't. And here's the part most people miss. Circumstances don't define you. Your reaction does. Two people can face the same pressure. One collapses, one evolves. Same problem, different mindset. You may not control what happens to you, but you always control how you show up. Do you complain or do you adjust? Do you break or do you build? Do you point fingers or do you take ownership? Your response is your signature. It tells the world who you are long before you speak. Calm under pressure, focused in chaos, relentless when it's uncomfortable. That's character. And character, not talent, is what carries you when things get heavy. To rise to a new level, you have to let go of an old version of yourself. You can't step into a bigger future with smaller habits. You can't demand more from life while giving it the same effort. Growth requires a release. And most people don't fail because they lack potential. They fail because they're loyal to who they used to be. You can't enter a new level as the same person. The discipline that got you here won't get you there. The mindset that once worked will eventually hold you back. At every stage, something must be shed. Comfort, familiar routines, convenient excuses, the stories you tell yourself about why it's hard or why you're different. Those stories might feel safe, but they are expensive. They cost you progress. Let go of comfort. Comfort is not peace. Comfort is stagnation with good lighting. It keeps you warm while your potential starves. Let go of habits that no longer serve the future you claim you want. Let go of excuses that sound logical but lead nowhere. You don't need better circumstances. You need a higher standard. Discipline is not just something you do. It's who you are. It's identity. When discipline becomes part of how you see yourself, everything changes. You no longer ask, "Should I show up?" You show up because that's what you do. You don't rely on willpower. You rely on standards. You don't negotiate with resistance. You move through it. When you change your identity, your actions follow naturally. A disciplined person doesn't force consistency. Consistency is simply an expression of who they are. And that's when growth becomes inevitable. Not dramatic, not overnight, but unstoppable. Pressure will keep coming. Levels will keep demanding more from you. That's life. But if you allow pressure to refine you instead of define you, if you release who you were to honor who you're becoming, you won't just survive the weight. You'll carry it with purpose. And one day, when others ask how you became so strong, so steady, so grounded, the answer won't be a secret. It will be simple. You didn't run when it got hard. You didn't cling to comfort. You chose discipline, and you became someone worthy of the next level. Talent gets attention, but consistency gets results. Talent might open a door, but consistency is what keeps you in the room. The world is full of gifted people who never became great, not because they lacked ability, but because they lacked follow-through. Potential without consistency is just a promise you never kept. And life doesn't reward what you could have done. It rewards what you do repeatedly. Greatness is built in small, almost invisible actions done every single day. Not the dramatic moments, not the highlights, the quiet choices, the early mornings, the focused hours, the decision to show up and do a little more when it would be easier to stop. Those small actions don't look impressive in the moment, but they compound. Day by day, they stack. And one day people call it talent, not realizing they're looking at years of discipline. Most people overestimate what they can do in a week and underestimate what they can do in a year. They want big change fast, so when progress feels slow, they quit. But consistency doesn't rush. It trusts the process. It understands that small daily improvements, repeated long enough, create results so big they seem impossible to outsiders. One rep, one page, one decision, done again tomorrow. That's how momentum is built. Do the work even when no one is watching, especially then, because the work you do in private shapes the person you present in public. Championships are not won on game day. They're won in empty gyms, silent rooms, and lonely moments where no applause exists. What you do when there is no reward trains your integrity. It answers the question of whether you're committed to the outcome or addicted to recognition. If your effort changes based on who's watching, your growth will always be limited. Real consistency is internal. It doesn't need validation. It doesn't wait for encouragement. It's driven by standards, not applause. When you learn to work with the same intensity and silence as you do in front of others, you become dangerous in the best way. You become dependable. And dependable people always rise. Repetition is not boring. Repetition is powerful. Repetition is how skills become instinct, how confidence becomes natural, how effort becomes identity. Every time you repeat an action, you're not just improving the skill, you're reinforcing who you are. You're telling yourself, this is what I do, this is how I live. Greatness is not built by doing something once. It's built by doing the right thing so many times that it becomes part of you. The same routine, the same discipline, the same focus, over and over. Some days you'll feel strong, some days you'll feel tired. Consistency doesn't care. It shows up anyway. When you repeat the right actions long enough, they stop feeling like effort and start feeling like alignment. You no longer force yourself, you flow. And that's when people start saying, you make it look easy. They don't see the years of repetition behind that ease. They don't see the days you didn't feel like it but did it anyway. Talent may give you a head start, but consistency determines how far you go. In the end, the most consistent person in the room will always outlast the most talented one who couldn't commit. And when the results finally show, they won't look like luck. They'll look like destiny. But you'll know the truth. It wasn't destiny. It was daily discipline. Repeated without excuses. Repeated without applause. Repeated until greatness had no choice but to show up. Being different is not an accident. It's a choice. And it's a hard one. Because comfort is always inviting, always reasonable, always patient. Comfort tells you to slow down, to blend in, to wait. It tells you that average is safe, that ordinary is acceptable, that tomorrow will be a better time to start. But comfort is the enemy of progress. It keeps you warm while it slowly puts your potential to sleep. Nothing grows in comfort. Not your mind, not your character, not your future. Comfort is where dreams go to rest, and too often, to die. The moment you choose comfort over challenge, you choose familiarity over growth. And the danger is not that comfort hurts you immediately. The danger is that it feels good while it limits you. Being ordinary is the most dangerous choice you can make because it's invisible. There's no alarm that goes off, no warning sign. You just wake up one day and realize years have passed and nothing changed. Ordinary doesn't fail loudly. It fades quietly. It convinces you that you're doing fine, even when you're far from what you're capable of becoming. Great people refuse to live by average standards. They don't measure themselves against what's normal. They measure themselves against what's possible. They ask more of themselves than the world ever will. They don't wait to be pushed. They push themselves. That's the difference. While others look for balance, they look for growth. While others seek ease, they seek excellence. Living by higher standards means making decisions most people won't understand. It means saying no when everyone else says yes. It means being disciplined when others are distracted. It means choosing long-term respect over short-term approval. And it can feel lonely. But loneliness is a small price to pay for becoming someone you respect. Working on yourself is not something you do when you have time. It's something you schedule because your future depends on it. Every day is a chance to sharpen your edge, and that starts with studying yourself. Study your work. Study how you think. Study how you react under pressure. Most people are busy, but they're not improving because they never pause to evaluate what they're doing. When you study your work, you stop moving blindly. You start seeing patterns. What works, what doesn't, where you hesitate, where you waste energy. That awareness is power. But awareness alone isn't enough. You must be willing to critique yourself honestly, not to tear yourself down, but to refine yourself. Self-critique is uncomfortable, and that's why most people avoid it. It's easier to blame circumstances than to confront habits. It's easier to complain than to correct. But growth only happens when you're willing to tell yourself the truth. Where am I falling short? Where can I be better? Where am I settling? Improvement is not about massive changes overnight. It's about being slightly better today than you were yesterday. Faster thinking, cleaner execution, stronger discipline, sharper focus, 1% better every day. That's how momentum builds. That's how confidence grows. That's how you outpace who you used to be. If you grow faster than yesterday, you're winning, even if no one notices yet, even if the results are still forming. Because progress is happening beneath the surface. Roots grow before trees are seen, and the person you are becoming is being built in these quiet, consistent upgrades. Choose to be different. Choose higher standards. Choose discomfort over complacency. Choose to study, critique, and improve yourself every single day. Because the world doesn't need more average. And deep down, you know you weren't built for it either. One day, whether you like it or not, you will meet the person you've been becoming. Not in the mirror, but in memory. Your future self is watching you right now, watching the choices you make when it's hard, watching what you do when no one is forcing you, watching whether you rise to the moment or shrink from it. And that future version of you will either thank you or wonder why you didn't fight harder when you had the chance. Legacy is not built at the end of life. It's built in ordinary days, in small decisions that feel insignificant but shape everything. Legacy is what remains when motivation fades and excuses stop working. It's the sum of how you live when you could have chosen easier paths. Your future self is counting on you to do the uncomfortable work today because tomorrow is built on what you decide right now. Discipline today is freedom tomorrow. That's a truth most people don't want to accept. They think discipline is a cage, a limitation, a burden. But discipline is the key. It frees you from regret. It frees you from chaos. It frees you from being controlled by moods, habits, and circumstances. Every disciplined decision you make now buys you options later. More control, more confidence, more peace. The people who look free in the future are the ones who were disciplined in the past. They paid the price early so they wouldn't have to pay it forever. They chose structure over excuses, standards over shortcuts. While others chased comfort, they chased mastery. And when the time came, life opened doors for them that never opened for the undisciplined. There will be days when the work feels heavy, when the routine feels dull, when your mind resists and your body complains. In those moments, don't wait to love it. Do it anyway. Do the thing you hate with the same intensity, focus, and pride as if it were the thing you love most. That's not hypocrisy. That's professionalism. That's dominance over self. When you act like you love the work even when you don't, something powerful happens. The resistance weakens, the habit strengthens, and eventually, respect replaces struggle. You stop asking how to win and start living like someone who already has. Victory doesn't begin with emotion. It begins with execution. This is the final choice, not a dramatic one, a quiet one. Will you live for comfort, or will you live for legacy? Will you protect your feelings, or will you build your future? No one else can answer that for you. No one else can walk the path for you. Make the decision now. Show up when it's uncomfortable. Be disciplined when it's inconvenient. Choose standards over shortcuts. Because when the noise fades and the years pass, the only thing that will matter is this: you became someone you respect. And if you can do what you hate with the discipline of love, with consistency, pride, and intention, you won't just succeed, you'll win.